Welcome back to the Daniela Cambone Show, here on the road for ITM trading in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida, for the must-attend conference of the precious metals and natural investing sector, the Rule Symposium. And I am with the man of the hour, Rule. Thank you for stopping by. I know how busy you are, but I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for gracing our conference with your presence. You do a wonderful job on
Thank you.
stage. You do a wonderful job through the year promoting the conference. So thank you for it.
Thank you for having me. I was honored to moderate that panel of titans yesterday and invite everyone who wasn't here to watch it on live stream. They can still catch it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, there you go. So there you go. Check out that panel. Rick, you do a fantastic job. The conference just keeps growing, right? And the concern amongst attendees keeps growing a little bit here. What do you think are the main themes this year of what people are coming up to you saying, you know what, Rick, I'm really worried about X?
Well, I think the macro panel covered it well. There was a variety of perspectives. There wasn't necessary agreement.
That's right.
But there was a suggestion that a few things weren't right. I think Grant Williams' talk today did a very good job suggesting that the circumstance that we existed in the period, say 1980 to 2020, while it was very pleasant, is over. That the demographic boom that we enjoyed is becoming a bust as my generation dies, literally. That the period of lower interest rates and US dollar hegemony is over. Nobody, I think, is suggesting that the world is going to come to an end, but we are all suggesting that the set of circumstances that we enjoyed for 40 years have changed, and we're going to have to adapt to that change. Certainly, one of the ramifications of that, one of the ramifications of a weaker US dollar, in absolute sense, maybe not a relative sense, but in an absolute sense, is I think there's a consensus around the fact that gold will continue to do well. There has been skepticism about the gold price on and off for a very long time. People say to me now, gold's done very well of late. Do you think that's over? And I try to point out to them that in the decade of the 1970s, the last time that the US dollar enjoyed, if that's the right phrase, a precipitous decline in purchasing power, that the gold price ran 30-fold. And I think one conclusion that came out of that panel is that although everybody had different interpretations of the problem, interestingly, everybody had the same solution.
That is a valid point. And I like how you say there was some disagreement. I mean, I'm curious to get your thoughts on Jim Rickards' thoughts, because I've had most experts on quite critical of the tariffs. He's probably the only one who's made the case that the tariffs will benefit the U.S. economy sooner than later. Thoughts on that, Rick?
I take the other side of that.
Okay.
I'm libertarian, and he's a good friend of mine. Let's get that out of the way. He's a conservative. I believe that tariffs are taxes, and I believe taxes are bad. He believes in high-quality people having more control over the economy, and I believe in decentralized control.
Right.
I would prefer that the big thinkers, even if I like them, don't control my life. I would prefer to make my own decisions.
How about on the topic of the dollar, right? We just saw headlines, the dollar's at its weakest point since, President Nixon was in power. Rickards, again, will argue this is all by design, that Trump wants the slower dollar. This is all part of the master plan.
I'm not sure that those people in government who I met are competent to have a master plan. My suspicion is that they take advantage of trends in motion to consolidate their own power. Very different than Jim's belief. I don't know why you would work really hard to devalue the dollar, although certainly Trump did say that a weaker dollar was good for some aspects of the U.S. economy. I'm not sure that you have to work real hard to cause the purchasing power of the dollar to decline. Given the aggregate levels of debt in society, it seems to me that the only way that you honor the nominal value of our obligations, which for entitlements alone exceed $100 trillion, without devaluing the purchasing power. You honor the nominal obligation of Social Security to an old geezer like me by continuing to pay him $4,000 a month or whatever it is they pay, but by devaluing the dollar. In other words, $4,000 buys you 10 years from now what $1,000 did now. We did that in the decade of the 70s, Daniela. I understand that you weren't there. I was. Over the period of the 1970s, according to the Office of Management and Budget, the purchasing power of the US dollar in an absolute sense, not relative to the Canadian dollar or the pound, but in an absolute sense, the purchasing power of the dollar declined by 75%.
And you think within the next 10 years, it will devalue by
75%. I think past is prologue. I think the only way that you deal with $100 trillion in nominal value of off-balance sheet liabilities is by devaluing the numerator, in effect. I don't see any way out. I don't think that we have the political will to say to old folks like me, yeah, you paid in for 60 years, but you're not going to get it. The only way that I see of honoring our so-called obligations is by de facto devaluation of them. By the way, I'm not saying that the US dollar will perform poorly against other fiat currencies. I don't believe that will be true. I think the US dollar hegemony will be reduced, but I don't think that we will substantially underperform a basket of other currencies.
Just one question. Like I said, there's a lesser known summit taking place. They're called the BRICS summit. Do you take the BRICS seriously?
No. My friend Doug Hasey once said that the dollar's an I owe you nothing. The euro, because of 13 participants, is a who owes you nothing. And the BRICS are nobody owes you anything. The idea that you develop an overarching convertible security currency out of a conjunction of non-convertible, illiquid securities is silly. The other thing is that the BRICS nations, while they don't trust us, trust each other a little less than they trust us. I learned that when I was selling Sprout products to global wealth funds, sovereign wealth funds. I'd ask them, why do you use U.S. Treasury securities? They seem like a lie. And I remember an Asian counterparty saying to me, yes, but a deep and liquid lie. And I said, do you trust us? He said, oh, no, but we trust you more than we trust each other.
They said that to your face.
To my face.
Wow. Okay, let's wrap on this because I got to get you back in there. What has really changed for you from last year, from the conference last year? One thing that strikes you, apart from the debt?
The theme that we talked about last year, we said it was inevitable, but not necessarily imminent. Now it's imminent. The increase in the gold price, the follow-through from the increase in the bullion price to the increase in free cash flow among producers and the market reception to that means that now the change isn't merely inevitable. It has to happen. Now it's happening. Now we're in it. This precious metals bull market is following a path that I have observed in my life 3 times before. I've seen transition go from the metal to the best of the best. After it goes from the best of the best, it goes to the best of the rest. We are in a gold and gold equities bull market now. We're not waiting for it. We're here.
Rick Rule, everyone, the man behind the great conference that everyone, if you're not here this year, you got to be here next year or catch it on the live stream. Right? I got that right. Thank you so much. And thank you again for having me. I love it here. I absolutely love it. And I brought my family. It's such a great place for the kids. And
for those of you who are attending live stream, or for those who, live stream is great, assuming that you have a life and you can't come down here. If you can come down here, there's a lot of communication that takes place non-verbally.
Yes.
And if you have a family, this is a wonderful resort.
And if I may add, I love the idea that after the panel presentation, the titans of the industry are sitting down at the round tables and everyone is just getting to ask them the questions. So you are so right. There's so much interaction and really hands-on exchange of ideas. It's just everyone's having a great time.
At our conference, Daniela, if speakers don't do well in the attendee polls, they're allowed to speak at other conferences rather than our own. And part of that has to do with participation. We don't want our speakers to parachute in, give a speech, and then go back to their hotel room.
Yeah.
We want them to interact with our attendees. To the extent that they don't, we allow them to speak at less demanding conferences.
There's strict guidelines here, folks. And that's part of the reason it's so successful. Rick Rule, thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for watching. We'll have more great content coming your way. So be sure to keep watching the Daniela Cambone Show here on the road in Boca Raton, Florida.